Talamoana, my fellow exiles, in the past few days, there have been quite a few Path of Exile 2 related announcements, including the fact that PoE 2's early access will go live on November 15th, 2024. There's no Valve time going on here. We are getting the early access in just a few short months, and it's on a Friday. Book your PTO now, as I already did. Now, before we get into the slew of new information, a lot of which I have not seen covered anywhere on YouTube before, I have been gone because I had another daughter. The birth went well. My wife is okay. My other daughter's all good. Everybody's here right now. Everybody's sleeping. It's a chill moment. So I am going to get into all of this juicy news. Thanks all for the well wishes. Let's get into the PoE 2 stuff right now. And we're starting with that early access date. Now, we know the day. However, that's all that's been officially confirmed. It's early access, right? But how are we going to access it? We still don't know it. I do posit that everyone will be able to access this because there was no associated way to access announcement. There's nothing related to supporter packs or keys and the like. I think this is just going to be an early access that everyone can play, going in true Path of Exile 1 fashion. It's going to essentially be a wide release of the game, just like Path of Exile 1. So with PoE 2's early access, which everyone is going to be all the acts, a skeleton of endgame, and really as much content juiced into there as possible. We're going to have a lot of skill gems. We're going to have at least 8 classes. I think maybe we're only going to have 7 because it sounds like at Gamescom the Druid isn't available, which is very unfortunate as that's my favorite class that I'm looking forward to. But even if we have 7 classes, that's a slew of stuff to look forward to. As soon as we get confirmation on the way we're going to access it, I will let you know on this channel as always, but it looks like early access, that's all we know right now. It's on the 15th. Hopefully everybody's going to be able to play if they want to play. And that also means, everybody, right now, we don't know anything about the ascendancies. We don't know anything about the end game or anything really related to crafting. And in this trailer that came out revealing the early access date, there wasn't a lot of new information. Yes, there were actually 3 new boss fights that we saw, including the Bow Engineer, this other version of the Perennial King. Yes, we fight him once in Act 2 already, but it looks like we fight him another time in a different arena with a different moveset as well. And then there's Gold Crush, which is another boss fight that we have not seen before. Other than that, there was nothing new content-wise. Yes, we did get a few more hints as to who Lumerius might be, that big bad guy in all of the key art for PoE 2. He appears to be the son of the Countess, the one who's narrating the trailer 3 that we got at ExileCon 2023, and he appears to be the new Dominus, the leader of the Templars or some sort of organization that we will be going against. And if you actually look at your screen right now, this is the new key art that they have released. This includes the Iron Count's wolf form, it includes Lumerius, it includes the Perennial King on the right, and then also one of that Val monster, I think his name is Zoadal or something. He's in Act 3, and then a monster that we've not seen before. Now, there are 5 monsters here. There are 6 acts in Path of Exile 2. However, we know that Val creature was not the act boss, so at first I thought, okay, maybe these were just going to be the act bosses. No, it's not. They're just 5 of the monsters that they really want to promote in the key art at the time being. We also got hints that maybe there will be cinematics in Path of Exile 2 with this trailer, because for the first time in quite some time, the actual art of the trailer, I don't think was rendered in-game fully, especially the shots of Lumerius that are playing on your screen right now. All the other shots are of bosses that we've seen before. They look fantastic, and I think they would pass as cinematics in PoE if they'd like to add them. But it does appear that they've invested a little bit into some new artistic, high-quality cinematics, which is news for a lot of people and something that many have been looking forward to, because they really think to put Path of Exile 2 on the next stand up, they need to have cinematics to compete with the likes of other great ARPGs of the past, like Diablo 2. That's everything that we really learned from that 1.5-minute trailer that happened during Gamescom opening night live, the release date, November 15th, and the possibility of cinematics, plus those 3 new boss fights. Now, besides that, there has been a slew of other information released. We're going to go over it right now. We're going to start with Not the ZIGGYD stuff, we'll do that at the end of the video, but with all of the new gem information, which is absolutely rad. It's come out at Gamescom. We've seen the new gem cutting menus, the new way that gems are recommended to you, and a little bit about the mercenary and how the mercenary's bolt skills work, thanks to someone who's on the ground from the Talkative tribe team, Omega Cybers. So let's start with gem cutting as a mechanic in Path of Exile 2. They long said that they were going to change it from gems relating to class to relating to weapon type and a few other different spheres or classifications of gem. They finally implemented it, as you can see on your screen right here. We have mace, axe, crossbow, sword, spear, bow, quarterstaff, dagger, elemental, occult, primal, and flail, plus an all gems tab. Very cool information on the screen here. Primal, I'm guessing, is shape shifting. Like I said, Druid is unfortunately not available in the Gamescom demo. We don't know if the Druid was in the closed beta test that is ending today. Hopefully we'll find out pretty soon. Then we also have Occult and Elemental. Occult is probably summoning. Elemental, lots of spell skills. And then Flail, that's also something new that we have not yet seen before. Really excited to see some of those skills in the game itself. If you actually look at the screen now, though, and you can look at all the different skills that are on it, there are some new ones in there too, including Spinning Inferno, Shield Wall, not Supercharged Slam, Stampede, Ancestral Warrior Totem, which is a level, it's a high level gem, and Hammer of the Gods. Those are all new skills that we've not seen before in Path of Exile 2, and I do believe that some of them might be showcased in this B-roll that ZIGGYD was awesome enough to provide to me. A brand new footage from the latest demo of Path of Exile 2, and in this footage, I've just got to point it out, everyone, the warrior looks so much better. Oh my goodness. When I played back in March, man, I was up front with Jonathan Rogers. I said, yeah, the warrior did not feel good. Really, it was rough. Everything, it felt just like I was being overwhelmed. I wasn't strong enough. It felt just clunky. It looks like it's improved massively from March to now in August. So props to the Grinding Gear Games team. And all these skills, oh, I'm so looking forward to making a build based on all this stuff right here. Super awesome stuff. So if we go to the next screen right here, we have the gem cutting support gem screen, which showcases a few things here. One, if you look on the left, we have Mace Strike, and that is exhibiting the fact that now default attacks of weapons can be supported by support gems, and they cost no mana. That is a massive change, and it was actually revealed in the ZIGGYD interview earlier in the week before Gamescom, and it has caused them the need to rebalance a ton of their encounters and the game. This is a change so massive that I'd think it would warrant a delay like WASD, and I was 95% certain that there would be a release date announcement this year, with that 5% being brought in because, oh my gosh, they just made another huge balance change. Maybe they're not going to release this year for early access, but they decided to. So this is going to change the way the game plays massively, because now your default mace strike, your sword swings, your bow attacks, they can all be supported by these support gems. And on screen right here are all the different possible support gems that apply to Mace Strike. You can see the ones that apply are colored up, the ones that don't are currently grayed out, and this is what you see when you go to uncut a skilled support gem. Now, if we swap to the next screen right here, if you allow the recommendations for support gems, which is something that they're implementing to help not only new players, but veteran players too, to just quickly see what really works for your certain gems, it gives you a certain set of support gems that would be best in their opinion, I suppose. It's not the opinion of the community. You know, that's our job to ingenious all this stuff out. In ZIGGYD's opinion, these are the support gems that would work best with the selected skill, which is Mace Strike. This is going to be massive for new players and really helping make sure that their skills aren't being attached to support gems that aren't actually affecting the skill in a great way. So I'm a huge fan of this change, especially since it's as simple as clicking that little show recommended gems checkbox on the lower left-hand side of your screen. Big fan of the gem changes so far. Hope they keep coming. Hope we see more gem stuff, especially the primal, flail, and maybe some more of the occult gems sometime soon. It sounds like people are having a great time at the Gamescom demo. And speaking of that, let's briefly talk about the mercenary. So this new mercenary information was picked up by Omega Cybers, who is an awesome member of the community, a moderator on YouTube and in the Discords and in Twitch. They had the following to say. The mercenary. Crossbows are one unified thing. WSD feels smooth as butter, and instead of using fire, ice, and penetration ammunition, you now have the ammunition as different skills that can then be supported. You still use your auto attack to shoot, but instead of fire bolts for the rapid shot crossbow, you now have rapid fire shot ammunition. And you just switch between the different ammunition types constantly without switching weapons. That is big news from Omega Cybers. That's awesome to hear that now we can have one crossbow or two because we can weapon swap with ease, and we can easily swap between the rapid fire or the shotgun shot or the grenades and all the like. That's awesome. Good to hear. And it sounds like everything just feels very smooth. Plus, have to do a shout out here. The sound effects for the crossbow, people are over the moon about. They sound phenomenal. It's just so meaty, weighty, and every time you shoot with the crossbow, everyone feels the impact. And even playing at the demo for quite an extended period of time, people are like, no, it's not getting old in the slightest. So, I mean, it's Druid for me, and then it's Mercenary. So if the Druid's not available, I think I know what I am playing on the launch of PoE2's early access. There's one final gem-related piece of information I'd like to talk about here, and that is the fact that now support gems will have capacity in PoE2, or it looks like they will. Meaning, based on the values of your strength, dexterity, and intelligence, you can only have a certain number of each type of support gem for each associated attribute. So say you have a really high strength, like this character surely does, that means you can have a max of 27 support gems that are strength. And then if you have a terrible dex, well, you can only have one. If you have a decent intelligence, oh, you can have 5. We don't know what the scaling looks like yet. We've just had this little bit of information on it, but it looks like this is another way that they are trying to help with build diversity and ensure that not everybody is funneling into the same exact support gems. We already have the fact that you cannot repeat support gems on your character. You can only use one support gem one time across your character and their various skills. Now you also have a limit on what types of support gems you can use based on your core attributes. This is also ensuring that your attributes are important to your character, because in a lot of circumstances, like in Path of Exile 1, attributes are only for using certain gems, and that's it. Nothing else is important. Now it's enabling you certain numbers of different gems to use, which is pretty freaking cool. I like it, and especially because they're pushing more and more stuff into meaning that the attributes are more valuable, which we'll find out about in a moment. I'm a fan of this change. Okay, and we also had a ZIGGYD interview, which I am going to give you the TLDW for right now. It's probably going to take about a minute and a half. There were a few awesome things that we learned. Number one, there's no more portaling out of boss fights in Path of Exile 2. Thank you, Grinding Your Games. We were abusing this to the maximum, my wife and I, at the console event, able to cheese out of boss encounters, and people at the offices and testers were as well. They were just loading up on 5 life flasks, finding a 2-second window to get out of a boss fight, TP out, come back in, kill the boss with the 5 life flasks, and it just completely undervalued the scale of these encounters. So they have removed all portaling out of boss fights. When you go into a boss fight, you have to kill the boss. Now, you can log out, and if you log back in, you will have the choice to log into town, or you can log in right where you left it. It just pauses the game, right? So in hardcore, you will have to do a boss from 100 to 0. You're not getting multiple portals and the like. If you log out and want to restart the boss is going to 100% life. This is going to be absolutely wild. I'm so excited to see what's going on with bosses in PoE2 now that you have to do it from 100 to 0. It's going to be a long play session on the 15th. By the way, yeah, I already put in PTO, so I will definitely be playing early access on the 15th if I can get in. The second big piece of information was the fact that default attacks for weapons are now supportable. We already talked a lot about this. They did mention that they had to rebalance basically the entire game when they changed this. And I want to reiterate too that these do not cost any mana, and they will really be used mostly, I think, by melee. I think this is the really good way to make melee feel good. They really want to make sure that melee feels as good as ranged in Path of Exile 2, and this was one way to help do that. Now, a lot of people have actually expressed some disinterest and distaste with this mechanical change. I'd like to play with it for myself, but people are saying, oh, well, maybe this is going to turn us into a builder-spender meta, like in games such as Diablo 4. I don't necessarily think so, because we're not building to spend anything. Like, it seems more so just like a spender-spender meta. Like, we just get to use our skills because there's no cooldowns or anything. There's no resources that we're necessarily generating besides like power charges for certain skills. So we'll have to see how it plays, but I hope it doesn't feel like the builder spender gameplay in other games, because I wasn't a fan of that. But, you know, I will hold my judgment for actually playing the game. Now, the third piece of juicy information from that ZIGGYD interview: there is no more distinction between spells and attacks in the case of enemies damaging you. So that means if an enemy is damaging you, you're no longer distinguishing between a spell and attack. That essentially means that you can evade spells with evasion. Very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of other mechanics are going to interact with that. What this means for spell suppression, we don't yet know yet. Omega Cybers actually asked Octavian that at Gamescom. He said they're not sure what they're doing with it, but this definitely simplifies the game and the tree. It's a big defensive change, and we'll have to see what the fallout of it is in PoE2. I am a fan of it thus far, though. I like a little bit of simplification for these more nebulous systems. So now, change number 4, strength gives way more life and intelligence gives way more mana. Now, strength is giving a lot more life because there's no % life on the tree, so strength has to give more life to compensate, and then intelligence is giving more mana because mana is going to be a factor in Path of Exile 2. Yes, the default attacks don't cost mana, but all your other skills will, so that will actually be some gameplay that they want you to care about in the game. They don't want you to completely trivialize it like in Path of Exile 1, where you're reserving almost all of your mana with auras. That's for spirit. Number 5, there are more visual indicators for monsters now. For example, if you miss a monster due to your accuracy being too low, there's a visual indicator on the monster health bar. There are probably going to be some other ones implemented as well. We've already seen the health bar turning green with poison. Maybe there are some others for ignite and shocked and the like coming, so we don't have to rely on those little icons. I'd be a total fan of that. Just like for us, I'd love for there to be a slight outline if we're affected by ailments. Maybe even having that as a game option, you know, little lightning bolts along the side of our screen or a little fire on the side of our screen if we're ignited, you know. I would be a big fan of that. Now, number 6, and I'm a little murky on this one. I think that flasks now give charges from all kills, not just magic, rare, and unique monster kills. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but the way I heard it, it's normal, magic, rare, unique. They all give flask charges now, so you will be filling up your flasks as you clear through the map. Remember, when you restart, like die in a map, all the monsters respawn in PoE2. So you really want monsters there to refill your flask charges because it is a war of attrition. You will be using your life flask most of the time, your mana flasks, and the other flasks too. It's a big reiteration, this change, and I just wanted to get it in front of people because this change way back at the console event made a huge difference when it came to playing. When I couldn't heal, it felt horrible in March. And that was it from the ZIGGYD interview. So, really brief recap. Lots of changes to skill gems, lots of changes to boss fights. There was an early access release date. It's November 15th, a Friday. I've taken off Friday, Monday, and Tuesday to play it. The closed beta test that is under NDA and we have no information about ends today, and people will be playing at Gamescom this demo that has all the classes except the druid that have been revealed. and they are currently playing it and having a wonderful time. It's great to see the Grinding Gear Games is confident in a November early access release date. There's a lot of information we still have to learn, such as how we get in, the ascendancies that will be in it, what endgame looks like, crafting, and all the like. I am so excited for all this information to come out, and I do think a little bit more will be arriving tomorrow during the Xbox reveal showcase, which does have Path of Exile 2 listed there. And we did learn a lot of details about the Diablo 4 expansion in it. So hopefully the Grinding Gear Games team and Jonathan at its helm will be revealing some more about PoE2 tomorrow. And if they do, I will try to get a video out just as I did about all this information. They will be quick, they will be condensed, they will be one take, which is what I did this one in. So it's going to be rough with the new daughter, right? Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to hop in the game with all of you on November 15th. We've been waiting for this since 2019. They've been working on it since 2017. Whew, long time coming. Anyways, that's all for this video. I will see you in the next one. Talakura, my fellow exiles.